Hello, everyone. See if I can invite people. Okay. Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. So, okay. So I'm using Restream. It's a uh, live stream platform and everything. So, hopefully, everybody can see me. So I'm still getting the hang of it um, and everything. So, I hope you guys are doing well. And so I wanted to come on. I've been back in the States or if you've been following me, actually, I've been back into the States since the 15th of November. So a couple weeks now. Um, and I've been gone for almost 2 months. So it's been a while. It's been a while. So I'm finally on the stateside because, as you know, I've been to Europe for about 12 days, and then I also went to Ghana for a little bit over a month. I'm just gonna kind of swing this over a little bit. Um, And so I have been like out of the country for quite some bit, definitely longer than what I typically am gone when I'm gone on trips and everything. Um, so everybody has really been following me as far as on my personal page, where you can actually see my little treks into Europe. That was actually my first time going to Europe. I've definitely sent clients to Europe multiple times, but that was my first actual time spending any time into Europe at all this September. So I really wanted to come on and kind of talk about that. What my experience was being a first timer to Europe and give some tips. But before I start that, I want to just introduce myself. My name is TaNisha Webb. I am the owner of Urban Chic Travelistas, and I'm starting a YouTube video or YouTube channel called that Travelista TaNisha as well. So I've been the owner of Urban Chic Travelistas since 2015 is when I actually established my business. I've done event planning for 10 plus years before that and everything. So that's kind of how I got into it and ended up liking uh, being a travel consultant a lot better than event planner, but kind of balling it up in one because definitely planning trips and things like that is something that involves someone that's very comfortable with a lot of moving parts as far as like event planning is concerned. Uh, so so yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far, being a travel consultant and everything. And so one of those bits of me being a travel consultant is really to come on and also give my expertise, experience, my professional opinions, and things like that with everything that has to do with travel is concerned. I can't see if you are chatting with me. I can't see it right now. and everything. So hopefully all of the streams are going, and I'll figure that out as I go. So I am a part of another travel agent group, and so we're actually doing a 30-day challenge where we will go live uh, every day from December 1st to the 30th. But it's other things that's behind that as well. Um, so, um, so I got plenty of travel content for you guys. And most of it will be live streaming. But some of it, once we get closer to like Christmas and things like that, may be pre-recorded, and then I'll just push it out. So, okay, so let's kind of get back to my trip to Europe, my first trip to Europe and everything, which is definitely different when you're actually there versus when you are, you know, versus when you're sending people there and stuff. It really puts a whole nother layer to you being able to actually, uh, you know, guide someone by your experience, not just about travel, because some things are kind of the same, but then, different places are going to be different as far as what you experience and things. And so that's kind of what I wanted to come on and talk about as well. So, one of the things that, if you haven't been following me and things, and I don't think I've been on Instagram really a whole lot in the last couple months or so, but um, back in September, the end of September, I actually went to Europe. So the places that I visited was London. Me and one of my friends, we went to London, we went to Paris, and then we went to Amsterdam. And then my friend left, and I continued on to Brussels, and then I went from Brussels over to Ghana. So I'll talk about Ghana in a different video and things. I'm just going to focus on the European uh, part of my trip, so you kind of understand. And sorry, I'm sitting up here trying to get my camera right on my phone. Okay, so overall, it was really a great trip. I do have to kind of preference it um, as far as my before I went to Europe, because I think that it really kind of changed how I would feel about visiting Europe and everything. I think in the United States, as being a Black American, we are taught more about Europe as a whole, history wise, and everything political wise. We're probably more familiar with European history and things like that. Going way beyond colonialism and things like that. I think for me, I had a very different out view of it um, because I had gone to Ghana in 2019 and had not visited Europe before then. And so I say that, to kind of preference, what my personal experience was with that, keeping that in mind. Because I think that that really changes, in some ways, your view of of how you see things. And I just think it's different for everyone, and things like that. So this is not to say that, that I had a horrible time or anything like that. I'm just saying that sometimes the things that you experience or that you learn about history wise can kind of change the way that you see things when you go to different parts of the world. So, um, first stop was London. And I have to, shout out my friend Lashandra uh, and everything. She's really a good friend of mine that we travel quite a bit and everything together. And so this is just one of our latest travel treks and stuff. And excuse me if you hear my dog in the background because she's over there clowning. And so, um, anyway, sassy, stop it. And so, anyways, um, one of the things about us is that we've always wanted to go to Europe, and so I knew that this was on her travel list. And not to really disclose her the issues she's been going through, her health issues and things like this, but this was the first time that she could actually travel, and so I was really excited for her. We both turned 50 this year. She was actually turning 50 during our trip. Um, to Europe. And so so we did, I wanted to make sure that we did something really special. She's a huge Harry Potter fan. And if you followed my personal page when we were in Europe and things like that, I shared a lot of stuff on Harry Potter. Now, I know Harry Potter and things like that, like, but Lashandra's like over the top a fan of Harry Potter's, like for real. I don't think I've seen a bigger fan. Like she was the one that was out, getting tickets like to Walmart when the books were coming out. Waiting in line to get her book and actually reading the entire thick ass dictionary, thick Harry Potter books in one setting on a Saturday. So that just kind of goes to show you, what type of level commitment that she had with Harry Potter, and her love for it. Because even at Universal Studios, when I sent her and her daughters and her niece there like a couple of years ago or so, that was like her favorite park was the Harry Potter theme park. So I knew that I needed to make sure that she had a really good time, since her birthday was the following day once we got there. And so that's the one thing that we did once we got into London. We got to our hotel. We dropped our bags, and then we went off to a walking tour of the Harry Potter places that they have filmed around the area. Luckily for us, we actually were not that far from the marketplace and things that they shot a lot of the scenes, and so we were actually able to. I think we just walked down there because we were not that far. Seriously, we were like literally like right down the street. So that was the good part about that. We were not too far from the Tower of London. Like we could actually walk to those places because we were pretty close to them. So that was the good part. London definitely. I think we kind of thought that maybe London was more spread out than what it is, like the different things that you think of, the St. Paul's Cathedral, when you're thinking of the Tower of London, the London Bridge, which I'll kind of talk about that, um, just everything like Buckingham Palace, just different areas uh, that just kind of symbolize that you're in London, right? And so we had a really good time and things. I don't know how we did it because we should have been like in the bed, knocked out from the time difference, but we did well at everything. And so the next day is when we went to the Warner Brothers studio, and we actually saw the entire setup of Harry Potter, which is actually pretty freaking amazing. So even if you're not quite the Harry Potter fan, I literally just watched every last movie. I think it's like 7 of them and stuff. So I ended up just watching all the movies and things like that. And then, by the time that we were ready to go and stuff, I was watching the first film over on the flight and everything. So that was really helpful for me. So I kind of had some knowledge about Harry Potter and things like that. But I really enjoyed, watching the films and kind of catching myself up on Harry Potter and what that was all about and stuff like that. So, but Warner Brothers Studios was amazing. I definitely think that it is worth it if you have Harry Potter fans, or even if you just merely like the movies. I mean, I was like totally impressed. I would definitely send, more of my clients there to see it for sure. It is really, if you have the time to do it, I would probably say to do that over even the walking tour, and everything. So the Warner Brothers studio is about, I want to say maybe about an hour, or something like that, close to an hour outside of like the central London area. And so, and there's definitely plenty of tour companies that can do it. Or, of course, you can always come to Urban Chic Travelistas and we can book you, as well, as far as that's concerned. Um, so that was pretty awesome. And then probably next day we did mostly the hop off pass and everything, and kind of saw what we wanted to see of London. Now, one of the things that I will say, especially going to Europe, I think it really depends on what your familiarity is with Europe, but also it depends on what type of experience you want to have there. Um, when Lashandra and I went to Colombia, it was definitely a all out, escorted tour, and I thought I was about to die because I was tired. I was tired of walking. I was tired of keeping up. I'm like, these people trying to kill us and stuff. For real, I felt like that, So escorted tours, you definitely have to look at your activity level and where you're at, and take that into consideration, and then also pair yourself up with escorted tours that is going to not be so jam packed with things, but also give you time to rest or time to kind of do your own thing. um, at this point in time, we kind of did excursions. We were not on an escorted tour. Probably if I were to do it again, specifically in Paris, I would probably do an escorted tour through Paris, for sure. And I'll touch on that in just a minute once we get to talking about the Paris part of the trip. So London, I loved it. I really did. I absolutely loved it. I loved seeing the changing of guards. If you've not seen the changing of guards at Buckingham Palace and things, then that's definitely a must see. Um, it's definitely one of those things that it just doesn't compare. You seeing it on on television and things like that. I can't see anybody if they're chatting, so let me take my glasses off because I can see it reflecting back. But anyways, so it's much longer than what I thought it was going to be. Um, I think the best place to start out is like at the corner of Buckingham Palace and diagonal where they come out of the barracks, and they have bands you can actually get online, and you can see like which band is playing because it's not the same every day. And I think right now because they're in the winter time, they do it every other day. And then once it becomes warmer, then they do it every day. And then we actually came like the next week after they had buried Queen Elizabeth. And so things were actually starting to get back into the swing of things. And I think we actually ended up being there maybe the first few days that the changing of guards had started back up. One of the things that because I'm short, I'm only like maybe 5'1.5", 2 on a good day. Um, you know, so I'm pretty short. and everything. So once they actually came around the corner and stuff, which literally the barracks is like diagonal from Buckingham Palace. And so I actually were like really in a good place to see them. However, I did not turn on my camera to or my video to record it. So yeah, I was kind of bummed out about that. But the other part that happened is that we went ahead and went across the little way there, and I was able to kind of nudge myself up to the side. I think one of the best places to actually stand if you're going to Buckingham Palace is actually on the left hand side of Buckingham Palace that you're facing. And so I wouldn't even try to get up like in the center of it. But the reason why the left hand side is really a good place is because a lot of the guards actually come in and out of that area. So you're going to be really close, to them and everything. And so that was really pretty cool because people get tired after a while and stuff because the changing of guard is like over 30 minutes and stuff. Like it's a long time to be standing there. And so it starts to kind of, people starts to get tired. They didn't see what they want to see. And then you can kind of nudge your way up into the front. And that's pretty much what I did with a good camera, phone video camera on your phone and to be able to zoom it up. But one of the things that actually happened, which one of the people that were standing near me, she was like, I've seen the change of guard a few times. And one of the guards actually came up to face us and he actually saluted us and he actually had a slight grin on his face, and she said that she's never seen that done. And so I got a really really good picture of him close up doing that in a video. And so I would definitely tell you, if you were to go, to see the changing of guards, then make sure that you're on. Don't even try to get up front and stuff in the center. Go to your left side because that's where they're coming in and out. Some of the guards are coming in and out on that side, and they do come up to the fence where we were at and things, so we can take really good pictures. Um, After that and everything, you're right around the corner from the official souvenir shop for Buckingham Palace. Like literally, it's probably maybe a 5 minute walk, if that. So you're really in a good area if you want to get food or if you want to go to official souvenir shop, which is what we did. And things, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit high, but if you keep on going down further away on the same little stretch and stuff, the souvenirs get cheaper. So I will say that. And that's just another tip too. The further away you are from like Buckingham Palace, and you start getting into like regular closer to neighborhoods, that you're still close to different places that you want to go, but you are, you're still kind of, you're in the city center and stuff. Your souvenir shops are going to get a lot cheaper and things. But if you try to go like to the ones that's right there by Westminster Abbey, if you're, going to ones that are by, Big Ben or, um, you know, um, anything like the Eye or whatever, then more than likely those souvenir shops are going to be more expensive, or malls as well. So, um, but also don't be afraid to, especially the street vendors, don't be afraid to haggle and get a better price as well. Um, to me, London, it is just, it's definitely different than America, but it feels familiar, if that makes sense. Um, and that's, I think, what I really liked about it is that you're still going to see some of those staple fast foods if that's what you want to eat. and everything. But it's enough different where you will see a lot of different things. I think one of the things that really surprised me is that while we were doing the hop on, off pass and stuff, of course, I knew that the two different bridges are the Tower of London, and then there's the London Bridge. Like the London Bridge is just a regular ass bridge, like for real. It's the bridge that's the closest to probably the Tower of London Bridge. But when you think about the nursery rhyme, London Bridges, I think they really talking about the Tower of London and not the London Bridge. And so because it's really just an ordinary bridge for real. Um, and everything. It's the bridge that you should be on to see the Tower of London. But I I don't think that I really realized until we were doing the hop on hop off pass and we were coming across the Tower of London Bridge. And then some other people had gotten on and we were going to stay on, but then we were like, what is this? And stuff. And right to the, once you pass over the Tower of London, and everything, because I'm like, okay, I've been out of school for quite some time. I don't really know what the history is of all this King George and all this other stuff, right? This medieval time. I don't remember a lot of it. And so when you pass over, you'll see that there's actually a compound, which is actually the Tower of London compound, where the King Georges used to live and things like that. They are um, they're basically the royal family and things like that. They are the people that are kin to Queen Elizabeth and or King Charles now and things like that. That is that's their people. And so then you realize that oh, okay, the Tower of London, that actually was what kept them safe, and so they can see who was coming and if they were enemies or whatever else. And at some point in time, the royal family actually used to make people pay in order to pass through and everything through the river and past the Tower of London. And so it's really a pretty big deal, actually. We actually did get off at that point and actually do a tour and things, and you can see where the moat and things like that was. I don't think there's really water in it or anything like that, but there's definitely like a part of it that they, still tell the story of how they used to bring the prisoners in and stuff through the water um, on a boat and things like that, and how they entered and things like that. It was really cool to actually see it. That's where you see all the family, the royalty jewel crowns are there. You definitely can't take pictures when you go into that part of it and stuff. But and like I think they had Queen Elizabeth II's cloak that she actually was crowned in and things like that. So there's just a lot of different things that was present there and gave you a really good history of the times, when that whole castle or whatever you want to call it, medieval village or whatever was built and what was going on there and stuff. So, and you can go in pretty much the majority of the areas to see how they lived and things like that. So that part you actually could take pictures of and things like that. There's definitely a lot of climbing of stairs and things like that. So definitely if you're not quite as mobile, then that may be something that you may take in consideration. You could definitely go on the grounds and things, but you may or may not want to climb all the stairs. Um, or just do some of them things. There's some definitely interactive parts of it. They go through the history of the beef eaters or the I call them something else. But the beef eaters are the ones that have like the red. They have the red outfits on with the like really kind of weird hats that sit on there, and they have like the ruffle, neck things on and stuff like that. And so they really went through a lot of the history of that and how they came to be. And so you learn a lot about that there. And you'll actually see some of the beef eaters that are on the grounds, and you can ask them a lot of questions there. So once I thought it was really cool how they talked about the history of how people actually became a beef eater, and then also how that whole history started with beef eaters and why they're named beef eaters. And so I'm not going to spoil it for you. You can look it up and stuff, but also the people that you see on the ground, those are people that are selected by their peers to actually be on those grounds to give you the history at the Tower of London. And so it's like really a big deal for them and everything. So, and they take it really, that appointment is taken very seriously. Um, so there's actually a place where you can actually buy jewelry and everything too, along with a souvenir shop and stuff. But you can buy like some really nice jewelry there, and you can actually kind of haggle with them too about that. Um, so that's kind of our what we did when we went to London and everything. You know, it was definitely one of those things. If you were going to Europe for the first time, especially coming for the States, I think that that is a really good introductory to Europe and to the European history as far as that's concerned. Now, what you decide to do from that point, I think it just depends on what you find the most important for you to actually see. Um, One of the things that's important to me that we didn't really get to do on this trip because it was really hard to find a lot of different companies that taught you about slavery. It's not that they're not there, but the days that we were in Europe, it seems like that it didn't align up with our schedule because they didn't do it every day. They didn't do like excursions every single day. So if that is something that you are really wanting to take in as about slavery in Europe and things, then you'll want to really do your research on different companies that offer those different tours and try to align those up with the dates that you're going to be there. So there's really no way for us to kind of move our dates up or back or, and things like that. So that's probably the only thing that I kind of regretted about going. So definitely, if I go back, then I would make sure that I can take in that because I think that that's really important. Um, Being a Black American and and of African descent, I really think that it's important that we understand what the history of slavery is and not just what was taught to us, but really seek out what the actual history is. And so that really can be done in many different parts of the world. Even if you go like to Colombia, to Cartagena, you can learn a lot about the Afro-Colombians there. So it's not just in Europe, but it's really anywhere that slaves have been taken anywhere in this world that you usually can find some type of history in those countries, in different cities that you should definitely take advantage of, specifically if you are Black Americans. So don't sleep on those opportunities. Don't just do, just the regular tours and stuff. Do things that are outside of the box. And like I said, specifically if you are African American, do that um, as much as you possibly can, and that you can fit into your schedule. Um, Once something else that I was going to mention that's really more of a tip. If you're going to do hop on, hop off passes, it may not be necessary for you to buy like the transportation passes as well. It really depends on where you are located in the city and how much you're going to take advantage of the hop on hop off and things. So I don't think that we took full advantage of using our public transportation things. We definitely needed it for the Harry Potter walking tour. You do need that, but they stop at the train station so you can actually get one if you need one. So I think that if anything in London, we probably didn't use our public transportation passes at all. But it is, I mean, we did use it, but I don't think that we used it near as much as we could have or maybe should have. I don't know. So I would just take that into consideration as well. Um, we stayed in the South. I think it's the Southwark or Southwick area and stuff, and that's closer to the Eye and like I said, the Tower of London. Like we were basically right there, not too far from that area. Um, Okay, so that's probably it on London. And if you have any questions or whatever, because I can't see them right now, you might have to because I'm on Restream, so you may have to give permission to use your name or whatever. But I will go back on to these feeds and answer any questions that I can't see right now. Um, okay, on to Paris. I have to say that Paris probably was my least favorite place to visit. I didn't think that that would be true. I thought maybe it'd be London or the Netherlands, to be quite honest, but it actually was Paris. Um, we actually took the train from London to Paris. We never got back on a flight until Lashondra went back from the Netherlands back to the U.S. And then I never got back on a flight until I left from Brussels to Ghana. So one of the things that I really love about Europe is that their transportation is like the bomb.com for real. Um, like it is really, really good. Depending on where you want to go in Europe, you may or may not need to get back on another flight, depending on how far it is that you're going away. Um, once we took the train, we took the Eurostar and stuff because definitely wanted that experience to get on the Eurostar and things like that. It didn't disappoint for sure and stuff. It is very fast. It only took us maybe about 2 hours, maybe a little bit more to get from London to Paris. So, one of the things I will say, just a tip, if you are planning on not getting back on a flight and you're visiting different European countries, do not overpack. Because when you get on trains and things like that, if you've not taken a train before, you're actually the one that's responsible for getting all your shit up on that train and taking it off. So that's the one thing that I did struggle with because I was actually visiting two different continents um, with two different weather patterns. And so I'll talk to you about it in a different video about how to pack for that foolishness. But um, yeah, it was a lot. And so if you're an overpacker, if you packed two big suitcases and stuff like that, and then you didn't bought it stuff on every stop, and you still got, a whole nother train to go. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot for you to deal with. So that's one of the things that I would tell you is to try to pack as light as possible and not and not overpack as much as possible. Um, so we get to Paris, and you can tell just right off that it's going to be different, right? Other than them speaking French and things, but most people actually do speak some, pretty good English there, and um, so it's not hard to find somebody that speaks English in Paris. So if that's one of the things that you are concerned about, if you've never been, to Paris or whatever, or really even Brussels, it was the same way that a lot of people did speak some type of English, um, and stuff. But I would probably venture to say that it's probably more in Paris that spoke, more English than probably in Brussels, that if I'd have to guess. Um, Once we got off in the train station, and I will say with traveling on Eurostar versus Thalys, which is the other train company that is more, I want to say that they're not domestic because they do go from country to country. They just be prepared with Eurostar that you are going to have to show your passport and all this other stuff. So just know that you're going to go through a security check, and that the train station is probably going to be overpacked. But they were very organized in London, for sure. Similar to when you're at the Amtrak here in the U.S., they had their different lines and stuff, and they had a lot of people that could help you. So that part was really good. Now, when you get to Paris, and this is one of the things that I did not like. I did not care for the train station. I think that there was a lot of confusion on what you need to do next and things. Even if you're reading on the website, it's a little bit confusing, and everything. Anybody from off the streets can actually go into the train station in Paris, and I think that that's one of the mistakes and one of the challenges that we ended up with. There were several times that we got the same man, and he was somewhere from Africa. I don't know. I can tell from the accent that that's where he was from. He kept on passing me back and forth, asking if I was okay, did I need anything, and I'm like, no, no, thank you. Lashandra's trying to find somewhere to go use the restroom and stuff like that, and we couldn't really get a straight answer. We couldn't understand what people were saying, to a certain degree and stuff. So this man, he just kept on saying, "Man." Now, when you get to the London or the Paris train station, just know that if you are taking a taxi cab, there is actually a taxi stand that's inside of the station. So if you're coming out of from the train, you actually just need to come out. You're still in the train station, but you go to your right, and then there's a line of people that are standing there, and they're all waiting usually to get a cab. Just know that if you go straight out the doors, not to the side where the cabs are on the side of the train station, but straight out, that you will probably see taxi cabs there, but they cannot pick you up there. They are literally in line waiting their turn to get people from the taxi stand that's on the side of the building that I just described. So just know that part. Um, the other part is that make sure you know who is trying to patronize you. Um, this man that kept on asking if we were okay, if I was okay, I don't think he really realized that I was with someone else. And so he was just talking to me specifically. But then when Lashandra came back over with her luggage and things like that, and she's asking, like, where can you go to the restroom? He soon grabbed her luggage and was like, well, I can show you. Now, he was saying that he was like a taxi driver, aka Uber driver. We don't know, what's happening, right? So so he grabs Lashandra's luggage and I'm behind them and stuff. And so he goes to the front door and then she was like, well, where's the restroom at? And he was like, well, you can go across the street at one of the restaurants. And we're like, what the hell? Why would we go across the street to the restroom? Like that doesn't even make sense. And so he had Lashandra's like luggage at the back of his car. Now we don't know what that protocol is and stuff. I'm learning because I'm on Uber and stuff like that, calling for for a ride and stuff to figure it out exactly where do the Uber drivers meet you at. So this guy, he's trying to talking about, well, I can take you to your hotel for this amount. It has to be in cash. So, our ears, our spidey senses are all up now. We're like, what? Why would you? First of all, I'm not paying you cash and stuff. If you're supposed to be a taxi driver or whatever, then you should be able to take whatever I give you. And so, however, I want to pay for it. And so as Lashandra, she's asked the question, well, where's your taxi sign at him to top of your car? I'm looking in his car. I'm like, your car is dirty. I'm not getting in that car and stuff. He was like, saying that he was an Uber driver, taxi driver. So what I will say about that is that just be careful of who you get into cars with and things like that, especially if you're on your own, traveling solo. I will do another video on solo travel, especially for women, later on in this month. But just be careful. Know who you are getting in the car with, because that could have been a really bad scene, for the both of us, for one of us, if we were traveling by ourselves and things like that. So just be careful, and stuff, because that man had no business being in the train station trying to get people to get into his car. That's for sure. Um, and we had issues coming back to the train station when we were going to the Netherlands. And so and our Uber driver was really cool and stuff, because this man he wanted us to give him money. He cussed out Lashandra. It was just a big mess and stuff. So I would just be very cautious about your surroundings, um, at the train station and stuff, because we kind of got stuff coming and going, that was happening. Um, Once we got into Paris and stuff, to a certain extent, it didn't disappoint, but then in a way it did. And stuff. And I'll try to explain. I think when you're thinking of Paris, you're thinking of the Parisian, buildings and things like that. So that part, it didn't disappoint us. We were really happy, as we were going to where we were staying and stuff. We actually got to pass right by the Eiffel Tower at night and stuff, and saw it lit up and things like that. So, I think, for most Americans, a lot of times, the Eiffel Tower, that's where it's at. That's what we want to see and stuff. And once you see that, we kind of done, or maybe some seeing the Mona Lisa, or the Louvre Museum, and then, the Champs Elysees, and just things like the whole street, and and seeing some other things. I think that that's what we find iconic to Paris. um I feel like you could probably do Paris if you were in London as a day trip, if you wanted to, or even from the Netherlands or from Brussels. I don't know if I would say that you necessarily need to spend 2 or 3 days, unless you were very focused on where you wanted to go. And if you planned on really going to a lot of the museums and things like that, then that would be cool. We spent a lot of time around the Eiffel Tower. We did a night tour, to do a night tour, because they will take you by the Eiffel Tower. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Lancome commercial with Julia Roberts in it, where the Eiffel Towers is actually sparkling with the lights. Well, that actually does happen. I thought that they had photoshopped it in, but it actually is a thing. So and so those night tours is really cool if you want to see something like that. It's really awesome. And so I would definitely recommend you do a night tour if you're in Paris, so you can see the Eiffel Tower lit up and sparkling and stuff. Because that was pretty awesome. And really, night tours anywhere that I've taken them have been really, really good. So I would definitely recommend those. The other part, next to like getting pictures and stuff, um, anywhere on your tour, see if you can find a professional photographer. That's one of the ways that me and Lashandra decided to commemorate that we had went to Europe and things, is that we actually did a professional photo shoot in front of the Eiffel Tower. And so that is definitely one of those things that people don't think of, but you can do them. And some of the excursion companies may actually have professional photographers that you can get it at a bargain as well. I don't think in London or Paris, I don't feel like, or really just in Europe at all, I don't think that I had like an amazing meal necessarily. I'm not saying that you can't get them there. I Other than we did go to a soul food restaurant, and I'll have to put that in the comments because I cannot remember right off what it was, but it actually was pretty good. And so we did enjoy that, and we did go way out of our way in order to go to this particular soul food restaurant. It was really important that we, if we didn't do anything else, that we actually supported another Black business. And so that's where we chose, and we would have done more if a lot of the other tour operators were up and going. Um, the other part is you can take a tour through Luxembourg Park that has to do with Blacks in Paris. And so you can actually Google that. And again, they were doing the tour the day we got there and then the day we left, so we couldn't actually take the tour. But I have sent clients on that and they really enjoyed it. So definitely try to get that in if you can. Blacks in Paris is the company for that. Um, I think that's about it with Paris. I think, if you're looking for something that's really iconic, you really want to see the Eiffel Tower. We definitely took a canal, a boat tour, which was really cool. And you can see a lot of different things that way as well. Some of the food and things like that was fine and everything. I don't know exactly what a Parisian meal is. So um you know but you know I'm not a unless I'm like in New York and like want a slice of pizza or something like that. I'm not really a whole lot. I just want food and stuff. So Lashandra was kind of like into more of that than I was. Like she wanted the croissant and the whole cafe experience, which for me, I'm like, it's just a croissant, but that's just me. so, um, so yeah, that's about it about that. So from Paris, we took the Thalys train to Netherlands. Now, the Netherlands was probably my favorite next to doing Harry Potter in London. I think that the Netherlands, you definitely could go over to the Netherlands and have an amazing time. There were so many things that you can definitely do there. I really liked that not that you don't see it in London or Paris and stuff, but they definitely do have a pretty big African uh, population there. I don't know how big it is, but I was lucky enough that I needed to actually go get some hair products. And so I looked up on finding, you know, Black people. so, so that made me happy. But I really enjoyed the Netherlands, really a lot. So, um, so I definitely think that you should put it on your list. It's actually one of the places that, as far as you want to make it on your last stop, because you're probably going to buy a lot of stuff there. So, like, I'm definitely going to do another trip, and we're definitely going to go to the Netherlands for sure, so we can go buy some stuff. And so just look for that. It's probably going to be in 2024 when we do our hosted trip to Greece and everything. So if you can't go to Greece, then look for my trips, my hosted trips that are, go back into other parts of Europe. And Netherlands is probably one of those for sure. What I really loved about the Netherlands, we actually stayed in like a row house there that actually was a hotel, converted it, well, to a hotel. It was actually really cool because we were like right down the street from the Monet, the Van Gogh museum, and the I think it's the Rijkest or whatever that museum is, the big art museum and stuff. We literally walked down the street and stuff. We were like really in the center of things, not in the downtown area, but we were like in a really cool neighborhood where we can take transportation and stuff, the light rail, trains and things like that to different areas of the city. And so we literally were right in the thick of things. Either we can walk to different places to get really good food, or museums or whatever. And so I think that was a really good experience. And then we went to the shopping area, and that was really cool and things, because you can definitely do a lot of damage and get a lot of cheap stuff. I think Lashandra bought like 3 winter coats that she didn't need. I bought one that I probably didn't need either and stuff, but literally like $30 for a winter coat, like it's a no brainer. So I'm definitely doing a shopping trip to the Netherlands. So look out for that in 2024. So get your coins up so he can go to the Netherlands. Um, I found that people, even though they speak English and they speak Dutch, I think, um, but the people were like really nice there. We did eat at a really good Italian restaurant right across the street from our hotel, and so that was really cool. Now, what I will say about when you go to these hotels, and it's not like a Marriott, it's like in these row houses and things like that. You do have to look specifically at the room. Um, a lot of these rooms, they may either not have air conditioning, or they actually may be in like some of the rooms may be actually in basements. Now, one of the challenges that we found and stuff was actually finding one that had an elevator. So we found the elevator that more than 2 people are not getting in that elevator, especially if you have a lot of luggage. It's just going to be you and that luggage in there. The other part is that the way that some of these row houses are made is once you come off the elevator, you actually may have to go downstairs and stuff. So we weren't really like ready for all that. So that was a challenge. So just know what you're getting if you're in like a row house type of hotel, or whatever you are staying in, Airbnb, whatever it is, that you kind of get the lay of the land and make sure that you either have a elevator or your packing light, where it doesn't matter if you have an elevator or not, that you're not going to have to go up, 2 or 3 flights of stairs and things like that. So just know to look for those things, and make sure that they have air conditioning. A lot of them are really good, and they'll actually tell you that the room doesn't have any windows. So if you're claustrophobic, if you need, a window and things like that, then just make sure that you're either calling the hotel, or that you understand that the room that you're renting and stuff like that that you're going to be staying is actually in a basement type of setting, that it doesn't have any windows or whatever. So I will definitely tell you that that's one of the things that you might want to look at. We was actually on the top floor and stuff, but we still didn't really have a view. So um, we had like kind of a skylight over the bed, and those rooms were small. So another reason why you don't want to overpack, because yeah, you and your luggage may not fit all in there, especially if you have a roommate. Um, so I think that, and sorry, I'm starting to get some messages, so I don't know what people are saying. Um, so the other part of just traveling and stuff through Europe is, and I'm going to talk about that as well, how you pack and things that I did, how I was able to pack. But yeah, we're still learning stuff about packing for long-term trips and things like that, and not overpacking, and just the lessons I've learned about that. Um, I think the other part of just traveling in Europe, and what I would say about any country, so it's not really even just Europe, it's just traveling as a whole. I think that as Americans, and definitely when I went to Europe, I think I'm sorry, not Europe, but I want to say specifically Paris. Definitely Paris has a preconceived notion of how Americans are. They definitely view us as being very rude, um, very privileged, and things like that. And they may not be that far off base with some of it. But I do think that as an American and traveling, I think that sometimes our, not to say that we shouldn't get the best customer service and things, but I think what we deem as the best customer service is not always what another country may feel is good customer service, I guess. Um, and so I think that that sometimes gets us in trouble, and it looks like we're very like uppity, and we're very rude and things like that. So I think that we really do have to kind of watch how we are making people feel about us when we're traveling. Now, I'm not saying that, we should go in and receive like really bad service and be able to take it, and because we're in a different country, because there is a line there. But I do feel that we sometimes do come across as being very privileged. And I think that you have to kind of check your ego at the door when you're traveling and things like that, and understand that it's not going to be like America. If that's your attitude about going to different places and everything, and you expect it to be like, and you expect for it to be like America, then you should stay in America. That's what I will say. So I think that you have to understand and be open to experiencing new things and everything. And it's not, I think one of the things that I didn't like about Paris is that um, I don't know if it was just a Black thing or what it was. But it was definitely times that we walked into like stores that specifically that Lashandra was looking for a specific perfume for her daughter, and she wanted it from Paris. And so we ducked into one of the stores, and to get this perfume. And the woman was so rude to us, like really rude and stuff. Like you can tell she didn't want to help us, nothing. Like you don't know what we coming in here to buy and stuff. And she spent like some good money in that store, you know. So it's stuff like that that sometimes that you kind of come across, and not to say that it doesn't happen in America, but you tend to get that. One of the other things that I will say that and this is also just going back from me probably going to Ghana first and really learning more about the slave trade and the part that France still plays in to Ghana, because they are the ones that still print Ghana's money. And yeah, and a lot of money that's made in Ghana goes into the stock market into France to this day. So, so yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you don't want this smoke over here. Don't play games with me because I'm not really with it. But I think when you understand how that works, and also the fact that a lot of European countries have not taken ownership about the slave trade, and they still look at blacks as a second class citizen, just like the U.S. does, and just sometimes how they're pretty blatant on just how they act towards you and things. It really kind of just pisses you off. And so I felt like I had to be really careful with how I felt about that, right? And everything, because that, to me, that's very annoying, especially when you get into different countries and they're still kind of hiding the truth behind slavery. And, a lot of Black slaves built a lot of these countries, including UK, France, US, all y'all. So I think that that's just one of the things that I kind of that was a little bit frustrating for me, and just kind of changed my viewpoint of of visiting and stuff like that. It was cool. I'm glad I saw it, but it is something that I really had to kind of check myself about, especially in France. So, and just kind of got me frustrated because it definitely felt like sometimes that you were a second class citizen. The other part that I really did not particularly care about is when you're closer around the Eiffel Tower, is that you will see a lot of Africans who are selling like the small little Eiffel Towers and things like that. And if you know kind of the history of a lot of African countries, especially in West Africa and other places, extremely hard for them to, and different parts of the continent of Africa, it's very hard for them to even get into Europe or the United States without having to go through these really harsh visa requirements. So it's not like when we go, the U.S. Passport holds a lot of power, and usually it's just one or two steps that takes you to be able to get a visa in a lot of these different countries, including in different parts of the continent of Africa. But the reverse is not true when it comes to Nigerians, Ghanaians, different parts of West Africans, trying to get into Europe to either go to school or even just to visit. Like we went to visit and things like that. And so it's extremely hard for them to get there. So it really put in the back of my mind, then if it's so hard for them to get over here to Paris and to, the UK and things like that, why are they the only ones that I see that are trying to get people to buy, or the majority of them to see get people to buy these trinkets? That really bothered me. It bothered me a lot. Um, And so it really made me question, how did they even get over here? If that's the only thing that they were going to be doing, it's really a lot of questions and stuff. And so unless this company that they're selling these items from is a black owned company, which I doubt it, then it really begs to differ. Is this really a better life, for them to be over here in these different countries if this is the only work they can get? So, so I'll step off of my soapbox with that. So I just want to kind of give you a background of why I kind of feel the way that I do, going to European countries and things like that, especially with my going somewhere in the continent of Africa and understanding about the slave trade. So it definitely can change your insight or how you feel about places that you go, especially being a Black American. Um, so one thing that I will say is that in all three places, like I said, the public transportation was really amazing. We did get lost on the train system in Paris. I will say that the attendants are not the friendliest, so I'm gonna tell you that too. If you happen to be in a train station late at night, like we found ourselves, because sometimes we didn't even get back to our rooms until like after midnight. Um, just know that if your ticket doesn't work and there's no attendant to help you, don't go up there and rebuy another ticket. Because actually, what it is that they've either turned off these machines after a certain time. I don't know. But all I can tell you is that you can probably get through just like everybody else does, and not worry about paying for that ticket. And I ain't telling you to do something illegal. I'm just saying that sometimes that the things are broken, and even when you try to swipe your things and they should be working, they don't, and then you just push through. I'm just saying, just follow the crowd. So, um, if it's not late, then you can ask one of the attendants to help you. But I'm just telling you and stuff. It may be that you just push right through and stuff. Definitely on the weekends, you'll probably see a lot more of security within the train stations just to make sure that everything's okay. Um, it definitely, the crowds are very, very much heavier, especially if you're around the like 5 or 6 o'clock hour and stuff. So if you can try to wait until later in the evening if you're going to take the train or the bus, or earlier when people are working, because it was very difficult, even trying to get in and out the plane. I don't know how we did not get COVID on these daggone trains at all. These public transportation, I really don't, and stuff, how we did not get it, because we were like packed in there like sardines, for real, for real. And so it was a lot. Um, but I will say that the train stations and things were very clean. One of the things I did love about being in the train stations in Paris is that you did see a lot of representation of Black people and different hues of Black women, like in their train stations, on a lot of the marketing billboards and things like that. And so I really, really enjoyed seeing that. So I will say that and give that to Paris and stuff, that you did see a lot of representation. down into the subways, and and on marketing billboards and things like that. I really, really enjoyed seeing that. So, um, common people are really pretty helpful if you get turned around in Paris and stuff. We just found another Black person, and she was really nice and kind of told us where to go. Using it really good, your Google Maps and stuff. We use that a lot. Just make sure that you have some Wi-Fi, and I will go over, some ways to stay connected when you're out of the country, because sometimes even your international phone plan doesn't always work the best, even though you have it. So I will talk to you about that in another day. Um, and having a hotspot and things like that, and give you some recommendations about hotspots to use, international ones. Um, so overall, oh, I didn't even get to the Netherlands. So let me talk about the Netherlands, because that was my favorite. I kind of reared back to Paris. Okay, so the Netherlands. I really enjoyed like the learning about the canals and what the meaning of the canals. If you don't know what those are, I actually shared those on my personal Facebook page. You can actually go to TaNisha Webb and kind of look back, because I gave you the history of the canals there. And so it's really actually kind of amazing and stuff. The people were like really friendly in the Netherlands, which I've heard that in the airport they're not as friendly. I don't know, but that just really wasn't my experience in Netherlands and stuff. Out of the three, I probably liked it the best. Um, Very walkable, very it's really a place that you can navigate yourself in, especially if you're taking public transportation. So I would definitely recommend people go there. I really enjoy going to the countryside, where you can see the windmills and learning about, um, why they even have windmills and things like that. And it's really to push the water away from the farmland, so they can actually farm on them. So a lot of the farmlands that are close to that, because the water, the grounds are so saturated with water, that's what the windmills were made to do, was actually to help to push that water back out into the lakes and stuff. And so and it kind of ties into your canals and things like that. And so so going into the countryside and actually seeing, have those picturesque pictures of like those little villages, and learning like why the canals are there, and learning that they changed them from salt water to fresh water, and how that changed like the fishing community, and where they could fish for a specific type of fish, um, how that helped with the corrosion of homes, because they're built, many of them are built over water or close to water. Um, Learning all of that was pretty cool. Going to a cheese farm and stuff, brought back the best cheese ever, I'm telling you. Um, I will never look at cheese the same way after I came back from the countryside and outside of the Netherlands. Learning that the parts that you're probably staying in the Netherlands, like with tourists stay, is really not where the majority of people from the Netherlands actually stay. They actually stay on the other side of the water, where you take a ferry. So there's like a free ferry that goes over every couple minutes, where typical people from the Netherlands actually stay. And so just learning that type of stuff, and it's like literally right across the street from where the train station is. Um, I really like their train station because, unlike the one in Paris, you actually have to scan your train pass to get in and out of it. And so, the people that are behind there are really there to catch a train and not to, try uh, to get into their cars. I think the other part that I really liked is that, other than, going to the countryside and learning more about like wooden shoes, the clogs, and all this and stuff, this other stuff. I really enjoyed, the different varieties of food that you can actually get. And that's for Paris too. Paris and London, actually, they're all kind of the same, that same, even keel as far as food is concerned. But I really enjoyed, and back to Paris, there's a lot of soul food places in Paris too. So I'm gonna have to put a list together and put them out there. So, but there's a lot of soul food restaurants in Paris of all places, y'all. Um, I think that, definitely the Netherlands is a place that I would go back to, before any, and then London for sure, um, and then Paris if somebody just wanted to go see the Eiffel Tower. So, um, um, so yeah. Now, Brussels, I'm not really going to talk about Brussels because I actually didn't see anything in Brussels. I was there for 2 days, but I was so tired by the time that I got to Brussels and stuff. I was in my hotel room and did Uber Eats. Like seriously, I have to go back and really, explore Brussels and stuff. But I was so tired, y'all, and I was not feeling well. The weather was like kind of cold and rainy most days and stuff like that. So by the time that we were out there, like for 10 or 11 days and stuff, like, yeah, I was kind of over it at that point and really just needed to get well before I got on my flight to Ghana. So that's why I can't really talk about, Brussels too much. Um, Other than, or really nothing to really tell. I just interacted with the people at the airport and at the, train station more so than anybody else. So, um, but I will say again that I love how you can never get on another flight if you don't want to, depending on where you're going in Europe. If you're going to neighboring, um, countries in Europe and stuff, you can definitely take a train uh, um, or even take a bus for very cheap and stuff. So that seems to me the way to go. I personally do not want to, knowing that I have to go to, unless it's cheaper to take a flight. I personally do not want to have to go there like 3 hours because I'm going to a different country, waste all that time to be there, at the airport, check bags. More than likely, you're going to have to pay for your bags because it's, within the same continent, so they don't always give you free bags, checks. So you're going to have to pay for that. So unless that is the deciding factor, or that, it's just cheaper to fly, or whatever, then definitely look at, ground transportation before you do that and see how long it's going to take you. Um, Something I was going to say about the Netherlands. Oh, like when I was going to go get my hair products and things like that, because I had to take my braids out, um, and how I found out that they had a fairly large, like, African community. and stuff, is that I ended up going into a neighborhood that they had like street vendors and things like that, like African, like uh they had African like printed material, like not clothing, stuff, like all types of things. Like it was freaking amazing. I'm like, these people look like me. So anywhere you could get me to look to the place that look like, that are black people, I don't care where you came from and stuff. We all family. So so I really enjoyed that, and the people seemed like they were pretty nice there. The cheap buying, cheap clothes and stuff, and things that you can actually um, get the taxes back or whatever is or duty free. That's what it is. And so you can definitely do duty free in the Netherlands. Um, just how peaceful, definitely outside of the countrysides in the Netherlands, just how peaceful it is. It is just a totally different world out on the countryside, and it's beautiful. Whatever you think of as, those villages with the canals and things like that, that's pretty much what we saw. It was pretty freaking amazing. And it's not even but maybe 30 minutes outside of the Netherlands. So it's not even far once you get to the countryside of the Netherlands. Um, I was going to say something about the Netherlands, but I can't remember right off now. Um, but definitely, I would definitely go back. I would probably do some different things and stuff, specifically in Paris and things. Like I said, I would definitely uh, would want to maybe do more of an escorted tour, which is usually what I do with my clients, is put them on escorted tours and things like that. That specifically, and let's say they're asking for a different experience and things like that. But you do have to be ready for that, and for the activity levels and things. So that's the thing about going on escorted tours and stuff. I mean, from the beginning of the day to the end, you're pretty much doing something. So so yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much. This is just day one. Me talking about my little excursions into Europe. Um, I'll let you guys know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I may hop over to Ghana or something. I'll talk about Ghana, you know, soon enough. But definitely all this month, up until December 30th, I will be coming on sharing some experience. It will not be as long as this one is. I'm going to try to keep it down to like 30 minutes or less. But I wanted to share, what my experience is, but I really want to talk about just some travel tips, travel protection, um, just things that you can remember being a solo traveler, just things you have to take into consideration if that's what you're going to do, especially being a woman. Um, we're going to talk about my favorite travel apps and stuff. So I'm going to give you information about that, and specific international hotspots that you can use, things that you want to do before you leave, how to pack for your trips and stuff, especially for us women, because we try to pack for every scenario out there in life and stuff when we don't need to. So just different things that I think that would be, you know, good for people to know, travel worthy, for you to know. Also inviting you to actually go on some of the hosted trips that I'm doing. And then also just look out for the ones that will be added. I will definitely be adding another European trip where other people can go along with me and things. So I'm trying to figure that out right now. It will be in 2024, either before or after I come from Greece, which is in September. of 2024. And so just look for that. Right now, you can actually go on to urbanchictravelistas.com and you can sign up for one of our hosted trips to Ghana. So, and matter of fact, I will talk about Ghana tomorrow. Um, but we still do have some spots open for Ghana. Um, and so you definitely, if you want to go on that trip, then definitely go and everything. So I'm going to give you some reasons why you should go to the trip to Ghana. It's going to be amazing and everything. And I'll talk a little bit about, my tour operator and stuff like that. But definitely hop on one of those. I have them marked down where your deposit to go to Ghana, Greece, and Egypt, because Egypt will be 2025. I'm working on a Tanzania or Tanzania, whichever one you want to call it, and the Serengeti and Zanzibar tour. I'm not sure when that would be, maybe in 2026 or some part of 2025. I'm not sure. So I am going to be planning on there. You'll start to see a lot of trips that are going to be kind of focused in different parts of Africa. Just know that those trips in Africa are actually me dealing with, for the most part, with Black-owned companies. That's really something that's important to me. I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about Ghana tomorrow. But you have up until December 17th to put down a $50 deposit to hold your spot. If you want to go on and do more than one of the trips and stuff, you can definitely reach out to me. Or if you're one of my current clients and you want to go on one of those trips and everything, and you're currently paying for another trip, then you can definitely hop on one of those and we'll save your seat and work that out when you can start paying for that. So definitely don't let these trips, these hosted trips, pass you by and things. They're great experiences. One of the great things about it is that you actually have a travel agent, which is me, that will be on these trips with you. If these dates don't work for you, then I can definitely curate a trip for you. If it's a small group or you and just another person, you by yourself, or if you want to take an entire group. So just reach out to me and we can get started on that. So, but yeah, I will be throwing more trips up there and everything for people to take advantage of, but you only have to December 17th. In order to get the lower deposit for these upcoming trips that are already open, and where you can get your spots and things like that. Yes, I am giving you a longer time to pay on these trips and everything because I want you to be able to work it out financially and things like that. It's going to be an amazing experience for sure. Um, Greece is actually selling very, very well. And I'm also partnering with another travel agent friend. So if you want to go to Greece, then you definitely need to secure your spot as soon as possible before we either have to close it or duplicate it. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but we are literally uh, about to sell out on that trip. So, but definitely Ghana and is still open. We leave on June 30th, and so it's over the Independence Day for the U.S. Holiday. We'll actually end up at the slave castles on July 4th. So definitely, you guys, I'll tell you more about that trip later, but we have some amazing things in store for that. And then also, if you're a travel agent and you're wanting to know how to better sell Ghana, because Ghana is not really that easy and stuff. It really is one of those places where it's better for you to know people on the ground that you can deal with. Me and my tour operator, we are working on a fam trip. This is going to be a little bit different because we're actually going to give you all of the people that you can contact at different hotels and things like that. You will be doing site inspections at different hotels in the different parts that we're going to. Uh, in the Accra area, Cape Coast, and Elamina, and Kumasi. And so, one of the things that we wanted to do differently is not only give you the information and the contacts and things like that, because this is not just about you going from city to city to learn the lay of the land of different parts of Ghana, but it's also about you having the connections at the different hotels and things like that, and really having a direct contact, but not only just at the at Kempinski Hotel or a Movenpick, but also 4-star hotels, but also some of the amazing luxury boutique hotels that are in the Accra area and other areas. We want you to have that information underneath your belt. So, regardless of what your clients are asking you for, then you can meet their demands and things like that, and without actually going through like an Airbnb or whatever else. So, that's really what we have in store for you. So, you can actually start to get those. Actually be able to work directly with the tour operator, but also work directly with the hotels as well. So when I went to do my site inspection at Movenpick, I was meeting with the general manager. I wasn't meeting with anybody else lower than him because our tour operator is thebomb.com. So that's the type of stuff that we want to put other travel agents in the know of, and to be able to navigate, and also to help put more tourist dollars back directly into black owned hotel people, which not all of them are black owned, but they're definitely black ran and stuff, but there's definitely some local hotels that are amazing in Ghana and stuff, and that's what we want to put you in contact with. So it's a little bit different than just taking an excursion trip and learning the different areas and stuff. This is about going on excursions. I mean, the site inspections as well. So I'll keep you in the know of that too, um, and everything. So anyways, you guys, have a great evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I promise these will not be that long in the future stuff. And I'll figure out how to figure out my little chat thing, or if I need to set up a whole nother monitor so I can see the chat box. Because I don't know if y'all said hi to me or not. I don't know. Anyways, I can see you on Instagram if you're on there, but the other ones, because I'm streaming in different areas on Facebook, on my personal uh, page, my Urban Chic Travelistas, and then also my Passport Ready Travel Club. So that's another thing. You can go and put in Passport Ready Travel Club into your onto Facebook, and you can join that group as well. It is not just for women only either, nor are any of my trips, unless it specifically says that. So yes, men are allowed, husbands are allowed. We let them go along with us. So anyways, you guys, you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you guys on the book and IG. Talk to you soon. Bye. Mhm.